We've talked about sines and cosines as being locations on the unit circle, but what about tangent? Tangent is the ratio that we typically go with opposite over adjacent. Well, if we're doing things in a unit circle, if I draw something and I want to find this location right here, let's say that that's at 45 degrees or whatever, if I put my triangle on it, my opposite is actually my height, which I know that to be my sine, and my adjacent down here of this guy for this triangle is my cosine. So really what we're doing is we're thinking of tangent as whatever our sine answer is over our cosine answer. If we can think of tangent as sine over cosine, things become a lot smoother. So if we want to do some on the unit circle, so if I were to take a look at my unit circle here and I want to do some tangents, so let's say I want to do, this guy down here, tangent of 7 pi over 4, well, I just take the sine, which is second, over the cosine. So the tangent of 7 pi over 4 would be to take the sine over the cosine. So that's going to be negative square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2, because this was the sine at that value, and this is the cosine at that value, and I just divide them. Well, this is the same thing over the same thing. So that makes a 1. And then I've got the negative sign over here, so the answer to that is negative 1. Tangent is simply the sine answer over the cosine answer. All right, let's get into one that might be a little bit more complicated. Let's take a look at something like this 300 right here. If I do this 300, I've got negative square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. So let's do the tangent of 300. So tangent of 300, get those two numbers, sine over cosine, negative square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. Now, how you deal with a fraction over a fraction is you take the reciprocal of the denominator. So you take this and you flip it over and bring it up, and you go times, so you're going to multiply by 2 over 1. So this is gone now. I did that flip. And then I end up doing this times this. Well, after you learn how to deal with fractions, you should be cross-canceling. Those are going to cross-cancel anyways, and then this is divided by 1, so the answer ends up being this negative square root of 3. So that's not too bad either. The last type is as hard as they would get is like the tangent of 30 degrees. Let's take a look at the tangent of 30. Or if you want to call it pi over 6, call it pi over 6. Same thing. So I do sine over cosine, which would be 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2. Flip this out of here. So times 2, or 2 over the square root of 3. So this is gone now. These cross reduce and make a 1. I end up with 1 over the square root of 3. And then I've got to remember that I have to rationalize the denominator, which is going to happen a lot when we deal with these. Multiply by the square root of 3 over 3, and then that bottom now is 3. And then that makes a 3, and then this is the square root of 3. So the tangent of pi over 6, or 30 degrees, is the square root of 3 over 3.